The Southeast Asian nation of Malaysia is staring at a staggering financial debt. And this story too is important in the Indian context. So much so that the newly elected Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad has decided to scrap several development projects, including a high-speed railway link with Singapore.
It's going to cost us a huge sum of money. We'll make no money at all from this operation. It is only a short track. It is going to save people only 1 hour by taking the HSR.
He's also spearheading a campaign to bring back the black money stashed away in tax havens abroad.
Rasuah ini menjadi amat penting kerana kita ingin mendapat balik wang yang masih ada di Switzerland, di Amerika, di Singapura dan mungkin juga di Luxembourg. Untuk ini kita akan hubungi kerajaan-kerajaan negara-negara ini untuk recover duit yang ada kepada mereka.
Can you see the parallels with India? This is where they stop. And now the incredible part begins. Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad is not the sole crusader trying to save Malaysia from the jaws of an impending economic crisis. The man on your screen is a man called S. Rajalingam. He's only 29 years old. He wrote a poignant letter to the Prime Minister offering a donation of roughly $25. This, he said, was his contribution towards repaying a debt of $250 billion, not even a drop in the ocean. But his letter to the Prime Minister's office went viral, and the government decided to set up a fund for citizens to help it repay its debts. The Hope Fund, as it was called, garnered, in fact, unprecedented support, and within a day of its being set up, it had $2.35 million in contributions. That's how much money the average Malay citizen sent to the government to pay off its debt. 3 crore people have decided to make their country's economy stable. It's a small but significant. Even though the government has managed to keep the fiscal deficit under check, we still need to borrow at least $90 billion to meet our needs. And what has been the contribution of the people of India? A paltry 1.7% of the total population paid taxes for the assessment year 2015-16, meaning just 10 million people in a population of 1.32 billion. Not even 0.5%, mind you, declare an income as more than 50 lakh rupees in India. Almost 90% of the people in India contribute a mere 23% of the total tax collected. So let alone contributing in any way to financially strengthen the economy, it seems Indians aren't even ready to do their due. Denmark is the latest European country to ban the face veil in public. It can now earn you a hefty fine if you were to be seen with a veil in Denmark. It passed the law to, quote-unquote, uphold Danish values. The law was passed by 75 votes to 30 in Parliament. It will come into force on the 1st of August. Those violating this ban will be fined $157. The new legislation does not specifically mention Muslim women. It says anyone who wears a garment that hides the face in public will be punished with a fine. Repeat offenders could be fined up to 10 times more or jail for up to 6 months. The government also said that this ban is not aimed at any particular religion or community. The ban does not include headscarves or turbans or the traditional skull cap, but the law is popularly known as the burqa ban and is being seen as a move directed at the dress worn by some Muslim women. And Denmark is the latest in a number of European countries to pass such a law. France was the first European country to ban the full face veil in public in April 2011. It caused an uproar. Remember, Muslims form 11% of the French population, the second biggest religious community in that country. But then France bans all religious symbols in public, including the cross. The next to enforce such a ban was Belgium. It outlawed any clothing that obscures a person's identity in public, and it set a legal precedent for the rest of the continent. This ban was challenged in the European Court of Human Rights. The court upheld it, saying the ban was legal. Bulgaria's parliament banned the burqa in September 2016 in a bid to boost security in the wake of militant attacks in Europe. Women defying this ban do not get social security benefits. 10% of this country's 7 million strong population calls itself Muslim, so it impacts a lot of people. A few months earlier, in 2015, this is before the previous ban, the Netherlands had approved a partial ban on the full veil. This meant that women were not allowed to cover their faces in schools, hospitals and on public transport. Let's go to Switzerland. A majority of the electorate in the region of Ticino voted in favor of a ban on face veils in public in 2013. The ban came into force only in 2016. Less than 5% of the Swiss population is Muslim, but the right-wing campaign gathered 100,000 signatures to push for a referendum, which was then rejected in other parts of the country. So only one region in Switzerland bans the veil. Italian region Lombardy imposed a ban on women wearing the burqa in hospitals and local government buildings. This was in December 2015. The decision was defended in strictly feminist terms. The political leaders called the burqa the worst symbol of oppression of women. In Africa, Chad banned women from wearing the full face veil following 2 suicide bomb attacks in June 2015. The government blamed Nigerian militant group Boko Haram for these bombings, and it said that the veil was used as a camouflage by the attackers. In Asia, China has banned the wearing of veils, face veils and robes, and it happened in 2014. In fact, in a widely criticized decision, the Chinese government also banned what it called abnormal beards in the predominantly Muslim province of Xinjiang. The Canadian government banned Muslim women wearing the burqa during the citizenship ceremonies in 2011. The mainly French-speaking region of Quebec was the first in North America to impose such a ban. The Liberal Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, has not specified his position, though he says that he remains pro-choice. A legal ban on face-covering Islamic clothing was adopted by the Austrian parliament in 2017. Full veils are still rare in Austria despite the surge of migrants and refugees in 2015. So this is a story from across the world. The question then, is it right to tell someone what they can wear and cannot? Is it right for the government to tell you how you should carry yourself in public? And if it means liberation for half of mankind, then is it right for the government to step in and banish archaic laws? Denmark's move has reignited the choice debate.
I'm quite happy to remove this because this is not what should belong in this parliament.
When Australian politician Pauline Hanson pulled that stunt in the Senate chamber, she was slammed for being insensitive towards the Muslim population in the country. But her message was loud and clear. She wanted to liberate women who were forced to wear a burqa, or so she said. Hanson's Senate drama reignited the choice debate. Who appointed her the liberator? Who decides what one should wear? If mandating a burqa is an assault on the freedom of choice, so is banning one. Arguments have been flowing on both sides. Those supporting the ban say it leads to cultural cohesion. Women of a particular community needn't stand out. Burqa prevents their assimilation in society. The opponents of the ban say it amounts to discrimination. It is a violence of the religious freedom of Muslim women. It may be true that 1400 years ago, patriarchal society's demands forced women to cover up their face. But now in the 21st century, should they still be put through the same? And then again, should the decision to wear or not to wear a burqa be theirs or the government's? While some argue that banning the burqa will bring gender parity, others say the ban is an infringement on the most basic human rights, one that gives women control over their own bodies and minds. There are many Muslim women who want to don the burqa out of their free will. They say it is a part of their identity.
We hebben vrijheid van godsdienst, vrijheid van meningsuiting en vrijheid van expressie. En het kan toch niet elke keer zo zijn dat als de rechtse kiezers gewonnen moeten worden, dat die burqa weer uit de kast komt. En als het zo verder gaat, wat komt na de burqa? Komt dan de hoofddoek en hoe lang mogen onze rokken nog worden? En, hè?
Moi qui va à l'encontre de la liberté individuelle, liberté de religion, liberté d'aller venir, liberté de conscience. Donc, étant donné que c'est une loi qui est hors la loi, je ne peux pas appliquer une loi qui elle-même va à l'encontre de ma liberté à moi.
Across the globe have outlawed the niqab. Can such a ban be imposed in countries like India, where everyone and their grandmother have an opinion on how women should dress? It's complicated. Face veils are not just limited to the Muslim minority in India. Many Hindu women are forced to cover their heads and faces in public, especially in North Indian states of Haryana and Rajasthan. It's hard to say how many do it out of their own free will. Swimsuits, bikinis, short skirts, they have all been subjects of debate, but none has triggered as heated a political and social debate as the burqa. You haven't heard the last word on it. Bureau Report, WION.
Let's turn to Syria. The conflict of the last 7 years has seen the displacement of more than 650,000 refugees to Jordan, and these are just official figures. The actual may be much higher, closer to 1 million according to some estimates. This means an additional 15% to the Jordanian population, and this puts an insane amount of pressure on the country's resources, its water, electricity, food supplies. Everything is strained. But the refugees are literally seeing the light now as solar energy is powering their camps. Take a look.
This is the Zatari camp in the north of Jordan, about 60 kilometers from the capital Amman. The kingdom hosts one of the largest colonies of Syrian refugees. Their hopes of returning to their war-ravaged country are slim. This is what is left of many cities in Syria. They're ghost towns. This is what awaits these refugees back home, and too, only when the war is over. Therefore, they have to try and improve on their present living conditions. With about 100,000 refugees in this camp alone, living arrangements are precarious. Only recently, electricity was made available to the residents for a few hours a day. But that will increase as the camp switches to solar power. Now a solar power plant consisting of 4,000 solar panels the size of 33 football fields is generating electricity for this camp.
It's the largest ever built in a refugee camp all over the world. The size of it is 12.9 megawatt peak. This solar plant will be able to supply the refugees of Zatari with a total of 12 to 14 hours of electricity per day, which before the solar plant we used to supply an average of 8 hours.
The new solar farm is not only going to help refugees, it will also help the Jordanian government reduce its energy bill. The country plans to generate 20% of its energy from renewable sources by 2025. But that's not all. The Zatari refugee camp has been built by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, or UNHCR. This means it runs on a budget. The new solar installation can save the camp as much as $5.8 million every year. The money can be reinvested in improving living quarters, sanitation and scant water resources. That would indeed make the sunshine in the otherwise gloomy life of these refugees. Bureau Report, WION.